So, we know a lot of money moves. When it comes to speculation, people like to buy up the magic cards, supply gets really low, prices go really high. Especially when it comes to the reserve list cards. But did you know that there is another market out there, not just for the cards, but for the art? We've got traditional painting of Atraxa Praetor's Voice. It sells for $40,000. This is like an actual OG, actual painted painting. And I mean, I've known people who they go after these things. They either go for the originals or they go for a very limited number of prints. There is like an art world out there, and there's big money moving around. A lot of big money moving around for these paintings. $40,000. This is insane. Is this the winner? Or is this the person who Atraxa Voice by Victor Adem Minguez? On acrylic and oils. That's the OG thing. If you want to own these things, they're getting auctioned off. They get auctioned off. Hold on. So let's get to the really juicy part. The opening bid was $5,000. Bought immediately. And by the end of the first day, the piece sat just under $10,000. I mean, it doesn't get any more reserved than this, than the original painting of magic art. But I guess, I mean, I don't know. I don't know the art world that much, but I'm sure if you've made an actual painting, it's going to be worth more than the digital artists who like there's a lot of digital art these days, and you can for sure make like, you know, an exclusive limited edition of X number of these will be in print. But the OG actual art fetches a big price tag. The rest of the week saw considerable bidding from private bidders. With 1 hour to go, Atraxa was at $20,000 and only half of the total price where it would finish. I guess people went crazy for Atraxa. Is this a good Commander card? This sounds very familiar, but I don't know enough about Commander to know like how popular or unpopular this card is. It was at this point the bidding battle between a half a dozen bidders, both public and private, would ensue for the next 90 minutes. In the end, the private collector, noted as PM4, stood alone atop the $40,000 summit. This auction is not only another high watermark of the continuing rising tide of the market for original magic art, but also a testament to the growth of Victor Adam Minguez as an artist and the cementing of his skill as one of the best working today in Magic the Gathering. I don't actually think this is very new. I don't think this is new whatsoever. I mean, I think people are making private bids in the art world for just as much. I don't know if it's as much as this, but I've heard big figures, okay? I've heard big. It's just not that popular. It was like a niche thing that no one really heard of, and like it was a small, very small community. But I know people who go after the art. They want the first prints, or they go after the art. And I heard the big numbers. Oh, this is insane. Anyway, Atraxa is the fourth most popular commander in EDH Rec. Oh, that's a big deal then. It's gonna make this. That would make this painting even more important. Digital. They show the digital versus the traditional here. So it's a sharp image. It's actually impressive to see how well it was done in traditional art opposed to digital. And it's on a very small scale too. Like, where is this thing? It's not that big of a piece. It's pretty small. Anyway, impressive stuff. 40 grand for the OG art. All right, everyone, welcome to the morning show where we discuss all things Magic the Gathering. Get your questions fired up. Let's have a great discussion this morning. And also, we do Decklist review. So if you got a 75 you'd like some feedback on, hey, submit it to us, and both myself and the coffee crew would love to give you that feedback. So brew up those coffees, coffee crew. Let's brew up some magic this morning. Welcome to Coffee and MTG for August 30th, 2021. I am your host, Nikachu the Merfolk Master. Good morning. Good morning to the amazing Wally, Shuck Creations. Mikey J is like, it costs money. Everything costs money. It all costs money in this world. Good morning, Tyler Roberts, Michael Johnson, Andrew, Cithrone, Karen, Gold Medals. Good morning, James, Drew, Rick Ego, Bear. Good morning, Bruno. Good morning, MTG Ectoplasm, Kaya. Good morning, Trevor. Good morning, Stephen Harmon. Good on the artist, yes. Artist not so starving anymore. Oh, yeah. But it is hit or miss. I mean, they don't always know they're going to be doing art for, like, a banger card. It could be, like, imagine all the great art that was wasted on some draft common, you know? And not even a good draft common. What, then barely, it's always like a second or third pick. Or, sorry, I should say, like, fifth pick. Barely playables. But good morning, everyone. Just a reminder to everybody, we're moving to Nikachu MTG Streams, the YouTube channel, for the live show in 1 week. So if you're not subscribed there, you better, because you may not get a notification. You might get a notification on YouTube. You might not when the morning show happens. Probably there's going to be a drop in attendance. Hopefully there won't, but you do have to show up to Nikachu MTG Streams for the live show. Moving it away from Nikachu MTG, the YouTube channel. They look the same, but they're not. One of them has streams at the end of the name. And of course, we're going to thank our sponsors, FusionGamingOnline.com. What is the deal of the week this week, Fusion Gaming? Oh, we're still on the damaged and heavily played singles. All right, so this is probably your last day to get, if you like to get deals, because the card has been through the dryer, been chewed by the dog. Maybe not literally, but like not in good condition. You can get an additional 15% off. If you're going to get a discount, you might as well go big. Go big with the discount. 15% off using the deal of the week discount at FusionGamingOnline.com. But also you can get an additional 5% off when you use coupon code Nikachu at checkout. Whoa, all the discounts, insane. Also, we're going to thank Mana Traders, the premier place to rent Magic cards online. Be a better player with Mana Traders, or at least play with a tier 1 deck all the time. What do I want to say? Like modern is stabilizing, but at the same time, there's new archetypes that are adapting. We see the blue-white control deck. People thought blue-white control was dead. Now we see blue-white. We see Jeskai. They're adapting with the Chalice of the Void in combination with Prismatic Ending. And you know what? If you thought you had at least the core of the control deck, you know those cards change all the time. You don't need to buy into those cards, though. You can rent them with Mana Traders. You can support the channel using my Mana Traders link in the description below, or save 15% off your first 2 months using coupon code Nikachu. Excellent. So you know the drill. 3 question marks before the question, 3 question marks after the question. Helps me find your questions amongst all the comments I'm getting on my YouTube channels and a Facebook fan page. Or you can cheat the system with super chats. Donate with a super chat like Cithrone, and your question gets pushed to the top of my feed. Good morning, Nikachu. I'm currently debating. I'm building Jeskai or Esper Stoneblade. I like Jeskai a lot, but I don't want to invest the money in the monkey if it's going to catch a ban. Thoughts? Do you want to win or do you not? So here's the deal. Okay, I don't think the monkey is good. Do I think the monkey could get banned? Let's get Ragavan up here. We're going to get Ragavan up here. Do I think the monkey could get banned? The answer is yes. There's probably a good chance it gets banned. I don't know exactly what the chances are, but it's better than most cards. It's better than most cards. It definitely has the chance to get out of control. But here's another question. Here's some things you have to consider. You got to consider the risk and reward of the entire situation. I don't think this card will be banned anytime immediately. I think they're gonna I think this is potentially maybe an Uro, where they let people play with the card for a year. And maybe it will survive past a year, but I think it will have at least a year of playtime. In that time of a year, can you win more than you would have lost by paying for this card? You're investing, what, something like 70 times 4, so about $280, $300 for this playset? This card can make a big difference in your win rate. Like, that's why it's so strong. So is that $300 of winning worth it to you? And by the way, it may not get banned. It might not get banned. Like, who knows? A year from now, maybe it's nothing. Like, you know, maybe Ragavan is just like a pretty crappy card compared to everything else. Yeah, Ragavan is not getting emergency banned. It's like Uro. Everyone knew Uro was really strong up front, and it was clearly good. It wasn't so strong, just completely washed away the format. But like Ragavan obviously is so good that it's just jammed in everything. So you gotta ask yourself, is the $300 that you're gonna spend on Ragavan worth the winning? Because you will win more with this card. Obviously, this card is so expensive because it's bringing the results. Results you're not gonna get with Esper Stoneblade. But, I mean, that's the question I think you have to ask yourself, and that's not a question I can answer because I don't know how much the $300 was worth to you. Maybe it's worth a lot. Maybe it's like 300 bucks. Like, you don't have that much money for Magic, and if you lose that 300 bucks, it's over. Because I'm sure you maybe you're happy with, like, the win rate that you're going to get from Esper Stoneblade. And also, maybe your local game store is not so competitive that you'd need the most hardcore deck. Like, you know, there's no GP coming around the corner anyway, so you don't need, like, the most hardcore build. Maybe you'll be fine with the Esper Stoneblade deck and whatever win rate it will bring you. But those are the things you got to consider. But anyway, those are the thoughts. Like, could it get banned? Yes. I mean, it obviously can. Like, it can be banned just the same way Uro went. And I don't think Ragavan is in a different boat. I mean, if anything, Ragavan's worse. Because Ragavan's seen play in way more decks. Uro is seen play in, like, I don't know, 4 decks. Ragavan's seen play in almost everything that's red, including Burn. There's a Burn deck that made top 8 with Ragavan, so that says something about Ragavan. And Dragon Rage Chandler. Anyway, I hope those are some good things to think about. You calculate the risk and reward of buying into Ragavan. And if it's just too much, hey, just screw it. Esper Stoneblade it is. How does Boros beat food decks? I'm assuming you mean Boros Burn? It's not clear. I mean, I don't know. I actually don't know the matchup very well. And I understand, like, every food is, like, 3 life. So that's a problem. Okay, maybe my best answer is you need more creatures in your deck. So, maybe let's go pull up that Burn deck anyway. Let's go pull up the Burn deck with a lot of creatures. Oops. I'm getting there, people. I'm getting there. Whoa! Whoa, 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 whoa! Why is Burn so high up here? What, I blink for a second? Look, everything looks sort of normal to me, and then Burn! Huh? Why is Burn making a comeback? Burn is making a comeback. This one doesn't have all the creatures, though, so this one's just playing... Oh, this one's Esper. So not Esper, Mardu. You're splashing black for bump in the night. Well, I don't know if I can get behind that, but whatever. Okay, so what was this list? Well, it smoked a modern challenge, apparently. Let's just play more 1-drops. That's the key. Let's look at... How about this one? No. Maybe that was... There was one list I saw. It had Dragon Rage Chandler and Ragavan in it. Because the best way to beat, say, food tokens is just recurable damage, right? Just more creatures. Get in more creatures and you'll be good to go. So, well, Skullcrack is fine, but I mean, a food deck is going to have recurable amounts of food, right? Maybe Smash to Smithereens is something you want, because the moment they get, what's it called, the Underworld Cookbook out, now you constantly have to deal with this 3 life crap. The most, oh, pick the most expensive one? The most expensive, to the most expensive one. The $900 one, 4th place, Artem Go. Here we go. Yeah, and I was thinking about this. This deck is not that far off from what older Burn decks used to be. Okay, they used to play with Wild Nikachu. Does anyone remember Wild Nikachu in Burn? Like, it was one of the first decks that they jammed Wild Nikachu in. Naya Burn was a thing for, like, well over a year. I mean, it was very, very normal. This is just Wild Nikachu on steroids. Steroids, people. So, like, Burn is not new to playing, like, 16 creatures in their deck. They've been here before. They've been there. And this is flying Wild Nikachu that sculpts the top of their library to, like, get rid of, you know, they're not going to flood out on lands. You know those Burn players, you know how much they hate drawing lands. Well, Dragon Rage Chandler is going to fix that, because every single time they play Burn spells, they're going to sculpt the top of their library, get rid of the lands, put them into the graveyard, and then start attacking. But this burn deck is a bit weird because it does have to use Mishra's Bauble in order to reliably enable Dragon Rage Chandler as a flying Wild Nacatl. But I have 46 copies of Wild Nacatl before the price dropped off a cliff. It's hard for it to come back too. Pepperidge Farm remembers Wild Nacatl, Destructive Revelry, and Atarka's Command in Naya Burn. Yep, that was it. That was a thing. It was also you go green for the Wild Nacatl, and also you got Destructive Revelry, which was also a very nice card. But I would say repeatable sources of damage are your best. Hey, I'm not playing Burn. I don't know the matchup specifically against these Underworld Cookbook decks. Smash to Smithereens might also be useful. Has to be useful. Surely you can at least hit a food, or you can hit the Underworld Cookbook. I would recommend something like this. But outside of that, I think Skullcrack and Smash to Smithereens might still be the route to victory. You see the Smash to Smithereens. You see one Skullcrack here. Oh, they sacrificed the Skullcrack. Also, mind you, like, the food matchup might not be good, and that's okay. That's okay. And Luris is worth it as well. I don't know about that. There's some debate whether this is, like, it's a free card, but practically speaking, is it free? Like, I played with Luris quite a bit in Merfolk. It's very awkward. It's, like, really hard to use. Very hard to use. Actually, yeah, Roiling Vortex is a card, too. Anyway, that's my answer. Play more creatures. Or just try to play your best with Skullcracks and Smash to Smithereens. Where in Svelun's name are the rest of the Innistrad spoilers? I don't know. They're really dragging their ass with these spoilers. Maybe they listen to the community and are like, it's too many spoilers. One spoiler season ends. The next one begins. When do we get a break? Seb Mechanon's first cards for Magic were random commons no one cared about at first. Hey, you never know. You never know when you're going to become a rock star one day. Yeah. You become a popular artist, and then all of a sudden people want the OG cards. OGs! Okay, what do we got here? Damage cards are great for Cube? Absolutely. Lost against Simic Merfolk at my local 1K this weekend because I saw Harbinger of the Tides. I assume they didn't have Suspend in their deck. Interesting. Expect the unexpected. Victor says, yeah, Wafatopo winning the challenge with indomitable creativity. That's funny. I heard about that. So, maybe finally this deck is going to get the respect it deserves. Like, I mean, the indomitable creativity deck has been around for a while. Maybe they didn't like the OG Velamachos versions, but now this new version with indomitable creativity, it's sticking, and it's sticking hard. It looks real jank looking, but it's now very consistent. I mean, the idea is you get like a creature in play with like Hard Evidence, or Shark Typhoon actually is really good, and Dwarven Mine, and you indomitable creativity the Emrakul in play. Same thing with Nahiri the Harbinger. Nahiri can go off pretty easily. Calm down, bro. Oh, no, sorry. Calm down, Bronco. I was just imagining just the username Calm Down actually sounds really tilting. Sounds like it could be super tilting. Renin $620? No, probably $60. Whoa! What is going on here? That is money. Was it on Magic the Gathering Online? Not nearly as bad. To MTG Stocks. The most MTG Stocks, the most unreliable website for graphs on Magic cards. Yeah, $120. To the moon. Renin 6 to the moon. Whoever bought here cashed in big time. I can't even believe the price even existed around here. 2-mana Planeswalker. Well, I mean, honestly, actually, at the time, Renin 6 was sort of poopy. I mean, it's from the Hogak meta. It was terrible. Went up anyway because, well, I guess because of Legacy and people saw the potential. Oh, we have a Morrow teaser. We got a Morrow teaser? Okay, I'll go look up the Morrow teaser. Morrow always has something. I hope he left a link on his Twitter. Is this the teaser? Innistrad design handoff document. From time to time, I like to show you the vision design handoff documents that I created when I finish working on a set. These documents are designed to walk the set design team through the vision of the set, as well as introduce various mechanics and themes the vision design team created. Is this it? Here are the documents I've published so far. As we're about to return, this is a big document. I'm not reading this. If you got if there's some actual spoiler stuff or real like this is not much of a teaser. This is like, I don't know. This is like a history book to how this thing. Well, the thing is sometimes Morrow comes out like on his blogatog about oh, he said it would be posted today. Sometimes he comes out with some stuff like, hey, here's like some things you can expect from the set. And he has a nice cute short document on it, so. Caleb says, I keep losing to Boomer Jund at my local game store, and suggestions for sideboard against Lily or Ren specifically. I'm running Eldrazi-tron. You're running Eldrazi-tron and you're losing? Play Karn the Great Creator? I don't think they can beat Karn the Great Creator very well. I mean, well, they have, you know, hand disruption and stuff. Karn the Great Creator. All is dust. All is dust beats all that stuff. I don't think you should have a bad matchup versus Boomer Jund. Like, I don't think so. I think your mid-range deck beats their mid-range deck. So anyway, I maybe I don't know if you have to change your strategy, play more Planeswalkers, but I don't really understand why you would be in a losing position. Can you explain the Atraxa art? Yeah, got sold for $40,000 for anyone showing up here. There was a traditional painting of Atraxa Praetor's voice, sells for $40,000. There it is, the artist. There is the art. The starting bid was $5,000, moved up to $10,000 in a day, and at the end, and after, like with 1 hour ago, it was $20,000, and it got bumped up another $20,000 to end at $40,000 to private collector PM4. There you go. This long story short. Do you think Earl will ever get unbanned? No. If Earl gets unbanned, it will be like 10 years from now when, like, I don't know, Modern turns like into a complete pile of shit or something. And it's like, this Earl doesn't look so bad anymore. Helder Pinho, do you think banned cards could have a place with only one copy in a deck? Yes, I actually am very much for restricting cards and taking them off the ban list. I think there's a lot of cards, say Splinter Twin, for example, will be meaningless as a one-of. Is not going to be that high of an impact. And you could say the same thing with, like, even Mox Opal. I think if you restrict cards, or if you just reduce the number that you're allowed, I think the fact that we're allowed 4 acts of every card is a really archaic, old rule of Magic. And I think as the format gets larger and larger with more playables, it's not necessary to have the card limit at 4. It should be capped at like 2. I'm not saying it needs to be a singleton format, but 4 is a lot, in which creates these really consistent, stupid, busted decks, and it requires banning cards. You don't have to ban cards if you reduce the card limit. Not a popular idea by a lot of people. You know, it's very controversial. Some people like it, some people don't. I would say a lot of people don't, but if you want to nail the consistency of combo decks and all these other busted cards, you just reduce the number that people are allowed to play with. Legit question, would banning the monkey really devastate the price all that much? If it gets banned in Modern, that hurts. That hurts a lot. I don't know if the monkey is all that playable in... Is it? I guess it's playable in Commander. I think as the price goes down, the Commander players would be looking to play it. Because you like go turn 1 monkey and then somebody is not going to have any defenses up and you attack and you get like you get the treasure token. So yeah, that also is a good question. So when you buy into Ragavan, understand that you're not going to lose $300 when it gets banned, or if it gets banned in Modern. You'll lose like maybe half the value, and maybe not even that. Maybe not even that. That's a really good point. Mikey J on the finance. Yeah, buy monkey, and once it gets banned, sell to the EDH players. MTG Ectoplasm asks, is Kira Great Glass Spinner in a real position in the current meta? And if so, why aren't players using it? Yes, I think actually Kira is. It might be getting bumped out for other cards. Not many... Well, first off, not many decks want to play Kira. Like, what? Spirits, Merfolk. That's it? That's it? And then when you look at Spirits, maybe they don't even want to play because they already have so many good 3-drops. They've got Spell Queller, they got Drogskull Captain, they've got and Drogskull Captain and Phantasmal Image is better than Kira. And then they've got Skyclave Apparition, so they're super clogged on 3-drops. Merfolk is not necessarily. I was thinking about bringing Kira back because I'm winning more games when I have more creatures on the battlefield. Can anyone hear Chubby Meatball crying in the background? Chubby Meatball, come! Chubby Meatball! She wants to go outside. We gave her a taste of a walk outside the other day, and now she's crying. And I knew it would happen. Scott Campbell says, good morning, I'm building a Merfolk deck in Arena. Any suggestions for counterspells or necessary instants? If you have a lot of wizards in your Merfolk deck, Benthic Biomancer, Silvergill Adept, Trickster, then you can play with Wizard's Retort. This is a very good one, especially if you're playing with Benthic Biomancer. It's probably the best counterspell. But you need enough wizards for it to... Like, playing this as a 3-mana counter is garbage. I'm playing with Spell Pierce. Good old trusty Spell Pierce, 1 mana. Counter Wrath of God, Kaya's Wrath, all the other Wraths. What else is there? Mystical Dispute is okay, because at least can interact with things like Teferi. And quite a few other cards for 1 mana. And, like, worst case scenario, you can still play it for 3. 3 mana mana leak, not bad. Better than nothing, but that's what I'm running. Or that's what I can suggest. Oh, wait, well, there's Memory... you know what? I haven't play-tested Memory Lapse. That might be an option, too. Is Mana Leak in Historic? I don't think so. I think it's banned, actually. Oh, no, it's just not legal. Not legal! Where's my Historic deck lists? You'll see it soon. I'll have video footage coming up soon. I just streamed it yesterday. We did great, but we were in complete Bumtown. We were in Ponyland. Aether Vial is still good or a bad top deck? Both. It's still good, but it's always going to be a terrible top deck. Tybell, I run Monkey and Darcy in my CDH deck, and they have been great ways to get the cards I need for my WinCon. There we go. Does making max cards per deck 2x screw up Merfolk? Nope. I built a deck, actually. I made a few videos on this with Merfolk playing 2x cards against other decks playing 2x cards to prove, actually, that it was Merfolk versus Infect, and Infect was allowed to play with all the banned Infect cards, like Blazing Shoal, and I crushed Infect. Just crushed them. Wasn't even close, because their deck was so inconsistent at 2x cards. And you'd be surprised when you're forced... There's still a lot of playable cards. But I had to play with all the Merfolk. I had to play with, like, Merfolk Sovereign as, like, a Lord. I played with, like, every Merfolk Lord that existed. I played with, like, main deck Tidebinder Mage. But you still get a deck. You still get a deck in the end. Diago, I want Goblins in Standard. What would be the most absurd one? Goblin Lackey would become Modern Legal or Warren Instigator. Probably Goblin Lackey. It's not clear we can even handle a Ragavan very well, let alone Goblin Lackey. So Goblin Lackey might be busted in Modern. It's like, Goblin Lackey turn 1. You got removal or not? No? Well, you're in a world of pain! Form a Sussel. Should I put Prismatic Ending in my black-white Smallpox deck or wait for Infernal Grasp to come out? What's Infernal Grasp? Why not both? Destroy a target creature, you lose 2 life. Like, Prismatic, I would say play Prismatic Ending, but it's only good for the early drops, like 1 mana and 2 mana spells. If you have any intention of killing larger creatures, then you have to play Infernal Grasp, like to get to the Stormwing entity, hit the Stormwing entity, Murktide Regent, or anything even larger than that. Bone Crusher Giant. Like, Prismatic Ending is not going to do the job. See, competitive EDH considers the monkey as a value mana dork. Makes sense to me. What do you think the first deck I should build for Modern? Oh, I mean, that I don't know. I mean, I started with Bogles. I actually don't suggest starting off with Bogles. Maybe Mono Red Prowess. It's a strong deck. You can upgrade it. And relatively cheap if you want to. If you want to start in on a budget. Otherwise, like, again, like I highly recommend trying out decks with mana traders. You can use the rental service for 1 month, try out all the decks, see what speaks to you the most, and then build that. Because you take a giant risk just buying into a deck and you find out you hate it. So that's not good. You want to play, ideally you're going to play with your deck for quite a while, so make sure it's the right deck the first time. Legacy Delver uses Monkey, so it'd still have some value, at least on Moto. I'm really suspicious how much the Legacy community has on paper cards, because like that community is small and shrinking. They don't play very often. I imagine they have a huge influence on foil cards. So what's the foil on Ragavan right now? Ragavan foil. How are you doing, Ragavan foil? That's actually not as high as I thought it'd be. $155. That's pretty stable. Cards that you think should be banned. At this moment, nothing. I don't think anything should be banned. We really can't complain about the metagame right now. What's the best Chalice of the Void deck in the current metagame? Hands down, Eldrazi-tron. Eldrazi-tron, I still think, is an underrated deck. Not enough people are paying attention to this deck, and you know, whatever. Although I think Eldrazi-tron is less underrated than it was, because the metagame is adapting now. So I mean, we're getting more decks that the top 8 or like the top 10 decks used to be super weak to Chalice, and now there's less. So weak to Chalice, not so weak to Chalice, weak, not so weak to, so weak to Chalice, not so weak. So Tron came back, Control came back, other versions of Control came back, Indomitable Creativity. So this top 10 used to be just all decks that got wiped away by a good Chalice deck. And now at 5-color Elementals, Tron, 2 Control decks, Indomitable Creativity. We have the Jund actually, the new version of Jund is very weak to Chalice. The Chalice on one just smokes this thing. But the point is, Chalice of the Void is maybe slowly losing its power. Is what I'm getting at here. Spencer Ward, experience is worth more than a matchup in Modern. If they're playing Boomer Jund, they've probably played it for half a decade. Hard mode for the last 2 years to win. Get good, I guess. That does help. Tajerk, what cards could be unbanned today and it wouldn't destroy the format? In my opinion, the Artifact lands. Umzao's Jite. I don't know, one more than and cantrips, Ponder and Preordain. I don't think it would do anything. I think the format would change hardly at all. I know there's the people out there, they'll fight me on this. That's fine. I don't think it'll do anything. I'm surprised Post Malone didn't buy that art. Spent too much money elsewhere. Should Splinter Twin be unbanned? Replace should and could, and I would say yes. I don't think there's anything mandatory to say Splinter Twin needs to be unbanned. Be careful what you wish for, is all I'll say. Be careful what you wish for. Caleb Popo, fairly budget. I'll go up 1 All Is Dust to 2. It's the sack creatures to Lily effect that's getting me. And but why? Because you can play. Okay. There's a few things you can do. Karn the Great Creator. Karn, great suggestion though. Just need to invest in the package. Yes, I mean that is Karn the Great Creator is like basically half your win condition. You know, it's half the reason to play the deck because you can go Karn and get like all sorts of cards. So I mean, first off, you have Matter Reshaper, right? So I mean, if they Lily sack this, that's not that big of a deal. Then what else? You also have access to that card that can make a token. Make Scion tokens. I don't remember what the card is called though. I don't remember. So anyway, but you can, you know, pitch a card. Okay, hold on. I'm getting tired of my cat crying. We're gonna get Chubby Meatball on the show. Chubby Meatball. What Atraxa art was sold? The OG art. No, you don't. Okay, now she's just like running away from me. She's like in chase mode or something. Why don't they do more restrictions as opposed to bans? I don't know. I don't. We do this in Vintage, and it works, sort of. I mean, it does work. The format is not like a depends on your definition of a pile, but I mean, it's a playable format, at least to the Vintage community. So I don't know why we don't do restrictions. It's a bit silly. I think we should be allowed to restrict. I mean, it's called a banned and restricted list for a reason. I think we should be allowed to restrict more cards. Restrict cards outside of just the Vintage format. How broken would Chromex be in Modern? Very. Free mana. 2 thumbs down on free mana. I mean, you want to play with a free mana format? Go play Legacy. Go play Vintage. Enjoy the turn 2 games. You just increase those games. Vario! Hey Nikachu, I love to play Merfolk, and also thanks to your influence, but not being a skilled player yet. Most of the time I experience very tough matches. What should I do? Keep playing. Keep watching me. Watch M. Hayashi, who's also a very good Merfolk master. I mean, you need the experience. If you don't have I was getting thrashed myself when I didn't have experience. But you gotta keep playing. Also, slow down. Consider your options. That also might help. I always think, okay, the biggest thing for me is I always try to think, what is my opponent going to do? What is my best option against what my opponent could do? I'm always thinking, what if they kill this creature? Robert Julian, lots of folks brewing Reanimator with 0 Stoneforge Mystic. What is the best plan for Game 2 after the Graveyard Hate is sided in? Lots of folks brewing Reanimator with 0 Stoneforge. What is the best plan for Game 2 after... Oh, you mean as the Reanimator player? Have a transformational sideboard, like bring in something else. Be less dependent on your graveyard plan. Maybe bring in a Stoneforge Mystic package. So, or, of course, you could also just do the classic, bring in the hate for their hate. But, I mean, that's the best I can tell you. You're playing... It's like, what do we do when the opponent brings the answers? Well, I mean, that's the thing about the deck that you're playing. You've got, like, a very powerful but narrow strategy. It's not very flexible. And if your opponent's going to bring in the hate cards, you're going to lose. I mean, that's just how it is. Like, it's like saying, I'm an affinity player. What do I do when my opponent brings in affinity hate? I mean... be faster, hope they don't draw it, or have just a few, like here's the thing, as let's say you're a Reanimator player, you can only bring in a few, like maybe artifact hate cards or whatever, cards that can blow up Rest in Peace and stuff like that, because you can't bring in too much, because then you water down your core Reanimator strategy. I mean, generic cards you can bring in are things like Thoughtseize, right? Thoughtseize, Inquisition, so you can actually pluck it from their hand. But I mean, that's just transformational packages are the standard in Reanimator right now. That's totally fair. So I don't know, like transform into like a Stoneforge Mystic deck. Because if you want to play 0, then that's the risk you take. You're hoping people don't have graveyard hate, and that's That's a strategy. Like, that's a real strategy. But I mean, there's just not much you can do. You just you gotta hope things line up your way. You win game 1, hopefully, and then you hope to win one of your next 2 games so they don't draw their sideboard hate. That's magic. Why was Faithless Looting printed into Historic, seen as it's even banned in Modern? They thought, I don't know, they thought that maybe there's less tools in Historic, but it's doing very well in Historic, I guess. I actually don't know. I haven't gotten to the top tiers of Historic. I've seen it played a lot. I've beaten it, but anyway, I don't know. They're making it Legacy. Like they're trying to turn Historic into Legacy, in my opinion, slowly but surely. You'd always play Squirrel Twin with Scurry Oak and Ivy Lane Denizen. Could Reanimator play Ramp after game 1 to hard cast their big boys? No. I'm just gonna say no. Like, where do the Ramp cards come from? Your sideboard? You're gonna have, like, I don't know, Farseek in your sideboard? I'm gonna say no. Legacy combo decks look for turn 2 wins. The rest of the format pretty often goes turn 3 or beyond if you have the interaction. And by the way, the format is heavy on interaction because they have to keep all the stupid fast stuff in check. Like, fact of the matter is, Legacy has a lot of turn 2 kills. There are answers to these turn 2 kills, but if unanswered, there's a lot of decks that can just goldfish to a turn 2 kill, or most definitely a turn 3 kill. With interaction. I played Esper Reanimator in the 1K and I transformed into a control deck post-board. That's pretty sweet. Definitely something you can do. Is Patrick Chapin's Next Level Magic still relevant today and worth buying? I have never read the book. I have no review for you. I have nothing. I got nothing for you. Sorry. If anyone else has read the book and claim it's still relevant, let us all know. Do you remember GTA in Standard? I don't, but it doesn't matter to me, that's for sure. Thank you for input on Eldrazi-tron. Sounds like I need more value cards. Yes, the Karn package. The Karn package is everything. Because with the Karn package, you can play Karn, stabilize immediately with things like Ensnaring Bridge. You go get Worm Coil. You can go get Sky Sovereign. You can, most importantly, you get Liquid Metal Coating, strip away all your opponent's lands. There's a lot of people just concede. You have the Tron mana, so you go Karn, Liquid Metal Coating, play it, lock down a land, pass. And then, or even lock down Liliana. Lock down Liliana. I am Freeman. I've been looking at decks online. How come people's sideboards have 1 to 2 copies of a card and not 4? Wouldn't you want to side in 4 copies of a card so you can see it more siding it in? But the thing is, usually how it works. So there's a few reasons. First off, maybe a deck is good at digging for cards to find those cards. So they play with a lot of cantrips. They play with, you know, if you play with Dragon Rage Chandler, for example. You're going to have a decent chance to dig for particular, very specific cards in your deck. Because with the ability of surveilling, as you cast spells, you can find those things. So usually what happens, I mean, you have a choice. You could play Rest in Peace, for example. Great card. But do you want 4 of them? Do they stack very well? And is it good in all situations? Deals with the graveyard, but doesn't deal with anything in your opponent's deck. So some people might hedge with Grafdigger's Cage. They're like, okay, this can deal with the graveyards, and it can deal with my opponent's library, deal with those Yawgmoth decks, deal with those Neoform decks. So so instead of going all in on one that's very good at one thing, they hedge between 2, and they can dig for them. Not to mention, you know, like as a Merfolk player, sometimes I want sometimes I want all 4 Relic of Progenituses. But maybe four relics doesn't do the job against everything, because I really need to be able to stop my opponent from searching their library. Well, again, I'm gonna get Chubby Meatball. Chubby Meatball. Chubby Meatball. You cry so much. You cry so much. Hey, Meatball, you're gonna do the morning show with me. You're gonna do the morning show and you're gonna be quiet. You're gonna be quiet. You want? Nope. 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 You're going nowhere. The morning show. You're too feisty this morning. Too feisty. You're doing the morning show with me. And that's that. Okay, we're gonna do the morning show. You had too much coffee this morning. That's what I say. Ugh. What is your opinion on modern time walk or taking turns? It's a bit of a gimmicky deck. I mean, it's a deck that obviously has a good shell. It has something to it, but it's not a deck yet. But one day it could be. I mean, and maybe all the cards are in modern right now, but no one's built it to be like really, really good. How you doing? How you doing? I know you want to go outside. I'm not letting you outside. We're not doing that today. We're not doing that now. What are the best spirits in modern? Well, just look at any traditional... Well, okay. I'm like, let's look at a... That's right, Chubby Meatball. We should look at a spirits list. Let's look at a spirits list. No. You're not going anywhere. No go. She has too much energy. I told my wife if we let her outside, she's just going to be crying and crying. Okay, more or less, like, these are all the best spirits in modern. Mausoleum Wanderer, Spectral Sailor, Rattle Chains. No. You stay. And you're cute, too. Everyone loves you. Everyone loves you. Damn it. We're gonna get out of here. But please be quiet. You're crying all morning. Selfless Spirit, Shacklegeist. Shacklegeist is a good one. Can only block creatures with flying, but you can tap 2 spirits to tap down a creature. Supreme Phantom, it's your lord. Your 1/3 lord. Drogskull Captain, also a lord, gives your creatures hexproof. Skyclave Apparition, it's basically removal on a spirit. And Spell Queller, counterspell spirit. Essentially, it doesn't actually counter anything, which is a good thing. It exiles the spell, so it can basically exile, deal with cards that traditionally can't be countered, like Supreme Verdict. So go look up stuff like, go look up those lists, and yeah, that's basically all you need. We have a bit of a kiddie stream for a second. Cute Cauldron Familiar. Let's just not ever tell her about the Witch's Oven. Anyway, you know what time it is, everyone? It's time for Decklist review. So if you got a 75 you'd like some feedback on, hey, submit it to us by going into my description, join my Discord. In the Discord, there is a channel called Decklist Review. And in Decklist Review, please use the command !review deck space, give the URL to your decklist, and you'll be eligible at random for Decklist Review. For Meatball, we should look at mice tribal decks. Well, we do call her Chubby Meatball. It's just a name. She's not actually that chubby. What is the cat's name? Chubby Meatball. What's my cat's favorite archetype? Squirrel tribal, probably. Squirrel and bird tribal. So if you look up on YouTube, there are these videos called, like, videos for cats, and all it is like birds and squirrels eating from a dish for like an hour. And I mean, like, Chubby Meeple can watch that for the entire duration. You can hear the bird sounds. I mean, her eyes are just glued to this thing. I haven't shown her that in a while. I should. And at some point she'll put her paw on the screen to see if she can touch the damn thing. Is that cat adopted? Actually, she was. Where do you think I should sell my cards? You have 2 options. You could sell them by yourself on Facebook fan pages and get most of the value of the cards, or you could sell to a local game store. They'll write you a check immediately, but they're gonna give you and pending condition, they'll give you like 50 to 66% of the value of the cards, because of course they have to sell it for 100%. But the advantage is that They take all your cards, they give you a price, you're happy with the price, they write you a check, that's it, it's done. Whereas if you want to sell them individually by yourself, like on Facebook or eBay, you have to sell everything yourself. You got to go to the post office, you have to deal with everything. So it's a time versus money thing. You should sell to Fusion Gaming Online. You can do that. I don't know how it works internationally though. I mean, you can send your cards to Fusion Gaming. They're always buying. They'll buy your stuff. They will give you 850 Canadian dollars for a guy's cradle. I don't know if that's good or bad, but that's what they're offering. She probably would like Popper Chatterstorm. All right, let's look at some deck lists. Fazil with 8 rack. Again, with the 8 rack decks. Are you guys telling me something? Like, should I just try to make an 8 rack deck? Now, okay, so this is apparently a budget 8 rack deck. So how budget? I'm guessing Urza Saga's too much money. Yeah, 23 bucks. That's a bit of money. Okay, budget it is. We got 4 Shrieking Affliction, 4 Funeral Charm, a Nether Spirit. I don't know if I'm in love with this card, even as a one of. It's a pretty garbage creature. At the beginning of your upkeep, if Nether Spirit is the only creature card in your graveyard, you may return Nether Spirit to the battlefield. It's the only creature. And we got Blackmail. Target opponent reveals 3 cards in their hand. You choose one of them. That player discards that card. That actually is great. That's a great card, actually. Okay, Bloodchief's Thirst. I can get behind. Inquisition of Kozilek. Raven's Crime. Smallpox. Wrenchmind. Don't you want more Wrenchminds, especially in a budget deck? Like, this is a 2-for-1. I imagine you want more Wrenchminds than some, like, even Funeral Charm. I don't mind Funeral Charm. Like, look at the modes. Target player discards a card, or target player gets target creature gets +2, -1, so you can kill Ragavans and Dragon Rage Channelers really early on in the game. So I do like that card. That's cool stuff. 4 Mishra's Factory, that's fine. 19 Swamp, 4 Racks. Then Shrieking Affliction and Davriel. I think you have a lot of good tools. Bontu's Last Reckoning, Break the Ice, Feed the Swarm, Nihil Spellbomb, Ratchet Bomb. Yeah, that's fine. And Void Mirror. We have Raven's Crime. Raven's Crime's right here. Yeah, Funeral Charm, Kill Monk. Looks more like 12 rack to me. It is 11 rack because we have just 3 Davriel. Only 3. Yeah, it's very budget. And you wouldn't kill the rack. You'd cut the Shrieking Affliction if you need, or Davriel actually. So I'm not sure what I want to. You know what? Maybe I would take out 1 Nether Spirit and add a Wrenchmine. Like, it's just a one of. I don't really like these one ofs. I mean, I understand this works best as a one of, but it's also a very clunky one of. I might have 1 less Nether Spirit, 1 more. I would like to have 4 Wrenchmine. Because this is basically a 2-for-1. This is the only, or like, it's not the only card that you get big value out of. You also get big value out of Smallpox, but this is like these are your 2-for-1s, and everything else is just like a 1-for-1 for the most part. No Soul Guide Lantern on sideboard. Do they need it? They have Nihil Spellbomb. Is there some synergy to Soul Guide Lantern that we don't know about? ETB, exile a card. You can tap, sack exile each opponent's graveyard. We can also draw a card, but we can only choose draw a card or exile graveyard. Whereas Nihil Spellbomb, you can get both at the same time. Also, you have access to. Hold on, you can sack this immediately, right? Yeah, you can. Dackmore Salvage for Raven's Crime soft lock. Land that comes into play tapped. You know what? This is it's not a lock either. It's just that you're guaranteed to always have a land to discard your opponent's thing. Bypasses hexproof maybe? How often do you need to protect against hexproof though? We have God of Fright. What is this? Menace. Whenever an opponent sacrifices a non-token permanent or discards a permanent card, you may put that card from your graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Not in love with this card. What's the other side? Target player loses 3 life unless they sacrifice a non-land permanent or discard a card. Untap Tegrid's Lantern. It's a bit expensive. Like this deck, 23 lands. Actually, it's not too bad. Maybe this is better than I thought. Oh yeah, Spellbomb is better because, well, no, but I don't think Soul Guide Lantern only hits opponents' graveyards anyway. So I mean, they're both good. Oh yeah, also there's also TCG Player to sell your cards. TCG Player is the fastest to sell cards while getting the most value from your sale, but there's a lot of risk. Well, I mean, that's just how it is if you're going to sell it yourself anyway. Buy listing is usually the safest place at the LGS, but you also get a lower percentage. But you save a lot of time. You save a lot of time. We can't cut swamps. Like, this deck depends on, like, its black sources so badly. Okay, if you want, you don't actually have to change anything in this deck. You could leave it as it is. Because I would be really just nitpicking. I'd just say take out the Nether Spirit for a Wrench Mine. But maybe a one of random Nether Spirit is not that bad. Because, I mean, it is infinite blocks as you get to stabilize the board. I just think it's sort of pathetic. Like, blocking on turn 3 may not be that relevant. I'd rather have more removal. Or try to get the hand discard plan accelerated in order to get the Shrieking Affliction and Rack online. Okay, hold on. There is one free thing you could do, though. You should play the... What's the black land that draws cards? That probably should be in this deck for sure. Like 2 copies. At least 2. Maybe more. What is that card called? That has to be in here. It's not expensive. I don't remember the name. All I know is my Castle Vantress. Castle Lothwain. There we go. Oops, it's Castle Lock. Comes to battlefield tapped unless you control a swamp, but you have tons of swamps in this deck, so that is just never going to happen. You can add a black painlessly, but you have the option in the late game, pay 3, tap, draw a card, then you lose life equal to the number of cards in your hand, but it's probably just going to be 1. So it's like a really good source of drawing cards in the late game if you like run out of cards. So I would suggest playing at least 2, maybe 3 in this deck, because it's free. It's free, and it's really... Oh, it's not that cheap. Holy crap. I mean, okay, I don't know, buy 2. It would be $8, but that might be like half the value of your deck. But it's pretty valuable card without like really breaking your budget. I know it's like most of this deck is like really cheap. Really cheap. Most expensive part of the deck is probably the rack. And then it will become Castle Lothwain. So this card is not as cheap as I thought it was, but playing a few of them would be a big upgrade to the deck as you have currently built it. So thank you very much for submitting the list. I hope some of that feedback was useful. I mean, I've never seen, I don't know what Nether Spirit would look like in action, but I'm assuming it would be very negligible. I guess it sort of has a combo with Smallpox, because you can Pox early, discard the Nether Spirit, and get it in play. But I don't. It just doesn't seem like a worthwhile interaction. Gold medals. Congratulations, you're the next contestant on Decklist Review. Mono white humans. Screw all the other colors. We want mono white humans. 5 color humans? That's old news. Do you have enough? Okay, this is modern. So we know not BSing around here. We were playing Force of Virtue? What? Okay, Boros Elite, Champion of the Parish, Dauntless Bodyguard, Kithian, Hero of Akros, Soldier of the Pantheon, Imposing Sovereign. Is this budget? Thou's Lieutenant, Thalia, Garden of Thraben, Benelish Marshal, Basri Ket, Brave the Elements. Jeez, you're trying to make something work in Modern that is very vulnerable. 15 Plains, 4 Silent Clearing, 1 Sunbaked Canyon, 4 Force of Virtue. Hey, this is my mono white humans. I play this in paper and online. Deck seems super strong, but just runs out of gas if opponent runs multiple removal spells, which a lot do. Any recommendations? Yes. Okay, so first off, play 4 Cavern of Souls. You have no reason to not do that. You have very few white cards. Or I guess we shouldn't say very few, but like at 15 Plains, I don't even think you should have Basri Ket in here. It's a big waste of time. Oh, is it budget? Okay, that's very important. Okay, forget the Cavern of Souls. No Cavern of Souls. What are the card advantage mono white cards, people? We've got Bugler. You need to have this card because it's for 3 mana. You have a 2/3 vigilance creature that will look for more creatures. Power 2 or less from among them. Put it into your hand. So put 4 Bugler in here. I would say definitely play it, but don't play Brave the Elements. It's just you'd rather. Because if people are killing off all your creatures, Brave the Elements doesn't really protect you. You'd be better off just having a creature to replace Brave the Elements with. Yeah, Grand Abolisher is money. Thraben Inspector. You know what? I think that's a good value card, but it's very bad on the attack. It is a value card, but it's very bad in this build. Dauntless Bodyguard is great. You should also have more Thalias, like at least 1 more. Like this card is too good, and it also chokes your opponent's mana when they try to exile your stuff. Well, what does Basri Ket do again? +1/+1 creature on 1 target creature gains indestructible. Whenever 1 or more non-token creatures attack this turn, create that many 1/1 soldiers. This card is trash. So take out 2 Brave, maybe take out 2 Brave the Elements, 2 Basri Kets, play the Bugler. I like this. It's not bad. Okay, replace the last Basri with a Thalia. Thou's Lieutenant is good. Imposing Sovereign, creatures your opponent control out of the battlefield tap. This is okay. It's only okay. It's not that great. It's a 2/1 for 1 that has... I don't know, it's a mediocre ability. Protection from multicolor. Whenever an opponent casts a multicolor spell, you gain 1 life. This is crap. I don't like it. We got to replace this with something. White Castle, we might not have, actually White Castle would be fine, actually. Yeah, maybe we should play with the White Castle. So take out at least maybe 1 or 2 maybe at least 1 Plains, 1 Sunbaked. You have actually too much Pain Lands, so play 2 White Castles. Take out 1 Sunbaked Canyon, 1 Plains, play 2 White Castles. Front lane medic help, maybe. Oh no, I don't like it. I know what this card is, yeah. It's like Battalion, creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. It's asking too much. I'd prefer to have more things that just ETB get value. Can't play Vile because this is a budget deck. Castle Ardenvale, that's what. I'm gonna assume this is actually gonna cost money. Oh, and not too much actually. You can get it for as low as $2. But you can have a recurable source of damage here. Brimaz is not that great because you need to attack with it. Ranger Viesos. Let's see how many lands we have. 20 lands. Oh, we have 20 lands. Not that much. Also, we have Force of Virtue. Do you really need this card? I'm gonna say no. Like, this is just it's straight card disadvantage. And you just said, like, you have problems against removal heavy decks, and I think that's one reason why you have problems against removal heavy decks, is because you have a lot of cards that are your opponent can just ignore. Like, these are not important cards, and they should just be creatures. So Force of Virtue should be something else as well. The Ranger Captain. Or was it, hold on, you said Ranger of Eos? That's a different card, right? Yeah, this is a different card. Look up to 2 creatures. This card might not be too bad, actually, but you need to increase the land count a little bit in this deck, because you could play this on 4, get 2 creatures. That's not bad. Like, in its card advantage. Or at the very least, you could put this in the sideboard for matchups where you know you need to grind. And this is some useful grind. And it gets out of range of Inquisition of Kozilek as well. So this might be worthwhile. How much does it cost, though? It's relatively cheap. You could have, like, you could jam 4 of these in your sideboard. And for against, like, Jund, for example, you bring this in because it's 4 mana 3/2 that digs for 2 more cards. Field Marshal? What's wrong with Benelish Marshal? Well, I guess this is... Okay, hold on. Let's look up Field Marshal. I don't know what we're missing here. Other soldier creatures get +1/+1 and first strike. That will be great if everything's a soldier. Soldier, knight, soldier, soldier, human, human soldier. Actually, most things are a soldier. You know what you could do is actually just play more of the... I like... Let's play both. And it's a human too, so it basically pumps up the entire deck anyway. So, even though I do think we should take out Soldier of the Pantheon, this is just too much nonsense. So take out Force of Virtue and play Field Marshal instead. And First Strike is big gas. It's big game. Selfless Savior. Oh, wait a minute. Selfless Savior. That's a new one, isn't it? Oh, but it's only a 1/1. Another target creature you control gains indestructible until end of turn. Honestly, if I'm going to play with an indestructible effect, I'll just play with Selfless Spirit. Which you totally could do, by the way. Not a human, not a soldier, but does a pretty good job protecting versus, like, board wipes. Oh, is the card budget? It's $3. It's not cheap, but hey, we're looking for upgrades. Adanto's Vanguard. I can't remember what this thing... Oh, I know that. It's I don't think it's very reliable for Modern. You have to pay for a life to keep it alive. You'll just kill yourself. Sanctifier on back in the sideboard. Sounds good to me. Oh, they have Auriok Champion. Grand Abolisher. Heliod Intervention. Return to Ranks is trash. I don't like cards like that. You know, you're playing this card because you assume everything's going to die. I don't like it at all. See, this should be Selfless Spirit, so that you can try to protect your board from a board wipe. Can't be targeted with spells or abilities. True Believer. I guess this is okay. But they could kill this. Yeah, this card's probably not very good. I'm not going to focus too much on your sideboard. I think your sideboard needs help. You can definitely play Sanctifier on back in that sideboard. Honor of the Pure instead of Force. No, these cards are trash in Modern. This is supreme trash. Like, you need to have an actual creature standing behind that thing. That's why Thals Lieutenant is so good. It's the same thing, more or less, but you get a creature in addition to that. Plus, it just gets pumped up by any extra creatures that you have. Skyclave Apparition is too expensive. It's like big money. How do we deal with Ensnaring Bridge? We probably don't. Not that it's like very important to deal with. There's not a lot of Ensnaring Bridges in the format right now. Charming Prince is not a very aggressive... It's not an aggressive card. It's more of a... It's a value card. Selfless Glyph Weaver. the hell is this? Human Cleric, exile Selfless Glyphweaver, creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. No, like Selfless Spirit's way better than this, just because it costs 1 less. It's so important. Like another creature that I would consider would be the the big Thalia. Thalia Heretic Cathar is pretty big because it makes your opponent's lands come into play tapped, in addition to creatures. It's pretty strong. Creatures and non-basic lands your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. I think it's a big deal. It's a Selfless Spirit that's a human, but the 1 mana cost means everything. Just means everything. How do you feel about running Mishra's Factory? Not good, because the deck actually requires a lot of white mana. Like, it requires triple white in some cases, and it's only running 20 lands. Which probably should be 21. Okay, so if we play with that other Lord, Field Marshal, we should have 21 lands in this deck, full stop. And also we're running, what's it called? We're going to be playing with Bugler. If we're playing with Bugler and that new other 3 mana thing, we should up it to 21 lands, easily. Easy 21 lands. So we're going to up the land count a little bit. But you, like, basically you need... Okay, so one reason you're losing to removal is some of your creatures are garbage. They can just ignore them. Another thing is you have a lot of threats in this deck that aren't really threats. But if we replace them all with threats, then your opponent will run out of removal. And that's about it. And we just I mean I don't like cards like this or Imposing Sovereign. A bit weak. Although I have to admit I don't have another Thalia. We don't have a whole lot of things at the 2 mana slot. We're gonna be a little bit higher on 3 mana, but I think it'll be okay. Yeah, it will be okay. Elite Spellbinder's actually not too bad, but we're going to be heavy on the 3 mana stuff. So I think, why not make this into a lure? Well, because then you lose all the 3 drops. So like we're jamming more 3 drops into this deck to make it like more powerful. Cave of the Frost Dragon as a man land instead. We don't need any. We don't need any creature lands in my opinion. Thanks, I'll do some changes. You're welcome. You're welcome, gold medals. Hopefully that's helpful. Go beat some people online with that deck. Alright, so that's it for Coffee and MTG today. Remember, we're moving by next week. Nikachu MTG streams. That's the only place you can find Coffee and MTG. If I didn't get to your comments, questions, or deck list, hey, we do this Monday to Friday, 9 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. Be there or be square. If you love Coffee and MTG, you want to support the channel, and you do not do so already, you could always drop a sub at twitch.tv/NikachuMTG. You could become a patron at patreon.com/NikachuMTG. Or you can hit the join button on YouTube. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining me today. Every day, every weekday of the week, we have a great conversation about Magic. No better way to start your day than talking Magic. So keep brewing up those coffees, people, and we will keep brewing up MTG.